Good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday and happy 1st of June. Right. Yeah, right. Let's get this sucker figured out. Sucker. Gonna get you, sucker. This thing might not be. It is rotating. This is not a terribly good design. Theory, maybe that might have been an issue. It's like slide that in. Now I see what's going on. Well, F it, because we're not going to be doing rotating on this thing anyway. So I'm going to cut this little nub out. There's a, okay, talking a lot about this. You can see that there's basically a, like a sliding C-clip in there to hold that whole mechanism in place. So it would allow for this section, this part underneath with the little key piece right there. See that little key piece? Sorry, dyslexia. There it is. That key piece to allow this thing to rotate. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. Like I said, still recovering from last week. So it will allow this section to rotate. Glue must have gotten in there a little bit, and what it's doing is right now is it's just not allowing it to spin. It's fine. So what I'm going to do instead is not care about it. I can cut that little key notch out and just be able to allow this thing to spin. Because once it's actually all done, I'm going to glue this whole section in place anyway. And generally not care. Yeah. Because that's what it's really all about. This thing is supposed to, I mean, it's ultimately, all I care about is just it's sitting in there. That's it. Pop that out. Just a second. Apologies for that. But, like I said, just about wrapped up this cold. Whatever it was I had last week. Just everything's filtering out. All right. So today we're going to work on the arms, just kind of like the final assembly of this thing. And then once that's all that is done, I'm going to probably just get this thing on sticks. Find some sticks and get it ready for primer. At the same time, I might do the second one too. Maybe we'll see. Maybe. Okay. So first things first, let's actually cut that little doodad out. Quiet morning. This is perfectly fine. Okay. Oh, please just don't slip. Whatever happens, just please don't slip. Hey, Nick, good morning. How are you? How'd the brisket come out? Bang. There we go. Parts all, little keys all removed. So can I just sit there any way I wanted to do and just can rotate however I want. I really don't care because, like I said, once it's all done, once we get all painted, it's just going to get slammed in there with glue. Got a little hungover. Brisket was great. Hungover? No way. Okay, we'll try to keep it a little quiet then for you. But only a smidge. Hey, Peter. Good morning, brother. What's going on? Actually, I'm glad you're on, Peter. I gotta let the leadership of Patriot know. I won't be there this Friday. We have a graduation party for my daughter. I thought it was on Thursday, but it appears that it's actually on Friday. Hey, Joe. Good morning. Not showing up for me. Yes, that's correct. I'm just trying to see how we want to do this. That I need to get rid of. There's a little notch there. So yesterday was an interesting day. Got some airbrushing done, which I'm happy about. I'll show you guys in a little bit what my daughter and I kind of accomplished as a test. But oops, you know what I just realized? Yeah, things are a little different doing it this way. Let's try it that way. Live chat. That's what I want to see. I did so much yesterday. Finished one of the projects and started another Chinese junk ship. Wow, cool. Model of a junk ship? Nice. That's pretty groovy. And you finished what was it? Painting of a mini? So the yesterday was a prom day. So my younger daughter was getting ready to go to prom, and she did all of that stuff yesterday. We dropped her off. We took a bunch of photos. And I'm looking at my daughter, and of course, dolled up in this prom dress thing, and it's just like time flew, no longer a kid. Diorama displays, nice. That's pretty cool, Joe. So you worked on the diorama, or did you work on the models for the diorama? So that time flies. Anyway, let's get this thing fixed first. Show you what we got to fix. Actually, see right in there, there's like that notch right there where the two halves are coming together. That needs to get fixed. I can do that with a strip. Either gap fill it or you put strip in there. What the fuck is this? So that it can have a resting place for minis. Nice. That's awesome, Joe. Looks like I got some gap filling to do on this thing. Posted on Blue Sky and Insta. Nice. I will try to head over to Blue Sky later today. Today, at least, I think promises to be a little bit of a lower key day. Though yesterday through the day was actually pretty good, pretty mild. Evening got a little busy. So we brought my daughter over. We had her prom date, a bunch of her friends, all of that. They took photos. We took photos. And then my wife and I came home. Went out on a little dinner date. Some fried seafood. Went out for some ice cream. It's great. It's funny, you get old and it's that's the little shit that you like to do. Excuse me. That's the little shit. I like the little shit. I don't need big shit anymore. Just a little shit. Glasses. Black CA is $20 on Amazon. Does that sound right? For the stuff that I'm using, the Starbond stuff? I don't think so. Peter, do you have a hobby shop nearby? What if you go to Starbond's site directly? I bought this stuff directly from, and this is 2 ounces. It could have been, I don't recall. I went to Starbond's site directly. Normally, they even offer discounts. It's definitely a low key. Enjoy the small things day. That's the way I like it, Joe. Okay, we're going to get some of this stuff cleaned up a little bit. Looks like I got some gapping here that I missed. Hey, Chris, good morning. Bonjour. Edwin, good evening. How are you? Yeah, like I said, Peter, I've had good luck in, like, I ordered this stuff. It's been a few years. I ordered this stuff and it came like it was some kind of holiday special or something like that. And I got both that and I got a couple of other something else. Did I get? Oh yeah, I got the debonder. That's what I did. I also picked up their debonder, which, like all debonders, I don't know, it's hit or miss. I've never had one that works well. What's going on, Edwin? Excuse me. Hey, guys. I bought Starbond on Amazon, but that was a while ago. Yeah, I just buy it directly from them. I mean, you can certainly, again, buy wherever it's convenient. The BSI stuff is also good if that's convenient. Like I said, I've just had good luck with Starbond. The only thing about it right now is I've probably used very little of this stuff, and it is getting thicker. So the medium is the stuff that, I mean, before it ran a little bit more thinly, but it's good. Still going for a weekend rest after yesterday Gunpla weathering workshop. How was the workshop, Edwin? Yeah. How was that? Let's put the glasses back on. Weathering workshop. Oops. Let's get that off of there. All right. Go in a little bit here. I'll keep looking around. Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious. Peter, you're not very far from shit from Hobby Bunker, if memory serves. You might want to just pop in to see again, just if you wanted to give it a try. See if they have any of the BSI black thin. Maybe I'll store it in the fridge to keep it longer. Not a bad idea. Yeah. I generally use mine extensively. I think the next time I may not do 2-ounce bottles. That's the one mistake I keep making. Just go with 1 ounce. Wow. A Gunpla workshop. Very cool. Yeah. A weathering workshop even on for Gunpla. That's pretty fascinating. Excuse me. All right. We're going to try this and see if it works out. If this does not work out, then we're going to I'm going to probably end up putting in a little strip in here, a little strip of plastic, but we'll see. Next workshop is how to paint titanium finish. Wow. So I'm reluctant to spend $20 for a giant bottle. It always dries up before I've used 15%. Yeah, I'm beginning to feel the same way. In fact, like I still use this big bottle here, this 4-ounce bottle. No, this is a 2 ounce as well of the standard Instacure. But I've got in behind it a 1 ounce bottle, and I'll probably stick to 1 ounce bottles from here on out. It's like you kind of buy into the whole, ooh, I'll get more and pay less per ounce. And it's like, yeah, but like you said, Peter, it's you don't use it all. To have the money to fly out where you are, Edwin, hang out with you and go to this session would be a blast. All right. I still feel like this is probably not going to work as well as I'd like. Trying to fill that little notch that I showed you guys at the beginning. In fact, I'm going to hit this thing. I'm going to go heavy on it and probably just have to thin it back later. That explains everything. Yeah. Yes. The hobby is more successful. Scale modeling is a lot more successful in other parts of the world, particularly in many of the Southeast Asian countries. We can get our president to change that. Okay, let's get that over here. Like that. Oh man, I guess today's going to be that kind of a day. Runny nose. Mom is currently covered in some sort of poison ivy. Oh! Sumac makes it the best description. Burnage. Yeah. No. That's borderline lethal to me. Applying exchange rate, it was $14 for one person. You got lunch, drinks, one high-grade Kyokai Senki kit worth $20. Hold it a second. Edwin, I want to make sure I understand this. They gave you lunch. They gave you a model. They taught you, so they probably had space that they needed to use. Was this at a hobby shop? And all of that was a $14 price? Wow. I'll tell you. Sounds pretty good. So a heads up on the price of the PG Unleash High New draw. I'm assuming your jaw hit the ground. Yeah, the floor. Yeah. Get ready. It's not good. Yeah. You know, I was talking about that. I'm not sure if you caught that, but I buy a lot of the smaller Chinese companies, stuff that you just don't see here very easily, like the Meng 172nd scale armor, couple planes, that kind of thing. That you just like Great Wall models. You just don't see that stuff here, and all of that pricing has escalated by 30, 40, 50%. A model that you were paying about $18 for is now going upwards of $26. A model I paid $35 for is now going close to 60. So you got that going on. It's insane. And that's even if that stuff is even available. And a lot of it isn't. $695 for a PG Unleashed High New. I guess you're going to really want to build it. Not that interested. If I had $695 burning a hole in my pocket, I'd go see if I can find that 1/200 scale, and I wanted to spend it on a model. I mean, even the Dendrobium, which I paid more than I probably should have, even that was not even close to that amount. Buy Atlantis, George. Why do I want to buy Atlantis? So I know Atlantis makes some of their models here in the US. I can't remember. Maybe they make all their models here in the US, which is all well and good. They don't make the subjects that I want. So, yeah, it was a hobby shop. The instructor was Singapore Tetsujin champion. Really? And Mr. Hobby representative here in Indonesia. No, oh my God. Wow. So hold it a second. Edwin, this one's kind of like, oh, that's a problem. What's the problem? About, yeah, clarify what you mean by the problem, Chris. So you had the Mr. Hobby rep there. You had a world-class builder there, or at least a national class builder. They make kits that I built as a kid. Yeah. But Chris, a lot of that stuff, I built the Lindbergh, Mayflower. I would never build it again. Why would I want to do that? Champion, the rep is the same. Okay, so they're the same person. Either way, so they're represented. So they had the company, the distributor or the manufacturer there as the person who's the modeler, but they're representing officially. I got to tell you, $14 is a screaming bargain. How many people attended, Edwin? That is a screaming bargain. Okay, let's get some of this stuff cleaned up. Oh, we're at it. Let's check the other arm. 28. Wow. George, don't be surprised that Beth's things now are outside the United States. Not totally surprised, Joe. Yeah, I see where the winds are blowing. They make kids. I know as a kid. Disregard changing subject. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you, Joe. Excuse me. All right. This one here has similar problem. This one's actually even a little bit more egregious. So once again, if you take a look at that notch there, yuck. I'll try to fill it. And if I cannot fill it, then I will put a piece of strip in there. Like heavy arm shirt. I like my heavy arm shirt. Yeah. It's actually, I would say it's not a real heavy arm shirt. It's kind of a 50-50. There we go. Going heavy on this stuff. Let's see if it'll settle. Give me 1 second here, my friends. Oh, shite. So I love when you put your finger in the CA. I mean, at least unlike thin cement, it's not going to do any damage to the plastic, but still, scheisse, scheisse, scheisse. I went back to the helicopter. I've been working on it. Oh, it's nice. So you're bouncing between a few different projects, Joe. I love it. The best thing is make new friends, the beginner ones, and lead them astray deeper to the hobby. That's right, Edwin. Nice. Edwin's an ambassador for the hobby. I was Zaku too sure. On it, like I have a Zaku 2 with Char on it that I like as a shirt. Oh yeah, this is actually not a heavy arm shirt. If you take a look at the shirt, this is by Macho Models. Nick, take a look at it's all speakers, and the Macho Models logo is gold chain around the neck. I love it. I love this shirt. I was a patron of Nick's before family and other stuff got in the midst of it all. There we go. All right, I'm gonna leave that one there as well. I'll try out. That means I cannot work on the arms today, per se. So once you begin, there is no turning back, and learn the fundamentals first. Painting kits instead of customizing them. Yeah, reassured. I thought those were speaker cabinets, but I guess they're probably rocket launchers. Oh yeah. So as Chris was saying earlier, this is the Gundam Heavy Arms, which is just some ridiculously over payloaded Gundam from what was the series? It's the one Wing, the one everybody's watched except me. I have one of Nick's shirts too, but it just says Macho Models. Yep. Yeah, when Nick was kind of wrapping up his Patreon page, I think he might have been one of the first people I actually did Patreon with. Gave him $1. I mean, it was not like I was crushing me financially to do it. But when but at the end, he just kind of cleared out a bunch of the shirts. He cleared out all his sticker packs. Just kind of did just kind of was like, hey, you guys have been around for a while. Help me out. Here you go. Hey, Richie. Good morning. What's going on, brother? All right. So I think at this point, we're kind of done. We're done with this guy, at least for the moment. No, you know what? No, I stand corrected. Backpack hoses. I can work on those. Just got up. Nice. Rub it in. Yeah, I forgot about that. The last hoses that kind of wrap around, as well as take a look at this backpack. Remember, think about how much more complex the backpack is on a new Zaku, right? That's it. Do you use to face the other direction on the bench? No, everything was backwards because my camera was backwards. At some point, I'll grab one of Joel's death metal style Gundam shirts. Oh yeah, yeah, those shirts are great. I love those shirts. The True Gunpla shirts. Yeah, I need my rest. Back to 4 a.m. alarm tomorrow. Yeah, that's true. Did you have a good day yesterday, Richie? Do anything special and fun? UHP3, I believe it was originally. Now is modded for the scene with the scales. So it was ready to take plans to the Gundam. Optically illusion. Exactly. All right, before we work on this, I'll just show you what my daughter and I were kind of working on yesterday as we're getting ready to paint the background for the bat plane. The first is mask this whole base off, and you can actually see I hit this whole back with black. And by the way, I haven't used them in a while. I decided I'm going back to Are you really in your cellar? Yes, not a joke. I'm really in my cellar. I decided I'm going to use Tamiya paints. I haven't used Tamiya's in ages, but I decided, you know what? I'm going to break out all my old large bottle Tamiya's. Thin them with Mr. Leveling Thinner. They work great. Are you really in mass? Are you really asking this question? I was gaming and started a backpack and shield for another build. Nice. So all of this has now been painted black. The back was painted black a while ago, but I just hand brushed like some cheap acrylic paint on that. But yesterday I airbrushed all of this, masked the area off. You can actually see some kind of like almost like some cloudiness up there, which is fine, perfectly acceptable for creating a cloud background. I did not go all the way to the base. You can actually see kind of left a little bit of a hint of the original gray section. I'm just being silly. I haven't taken my medication for the day. That's okay. I'm barely taking my medication for the day. I need more of my medication. Here it comes. So I hit this up with all black just to get it ready, because then my daughter and I just started experimenting with creating clouds. Now, I started this, and this is just experimentation, just trying things out. This is basically, this is a sheet of plastic from what they call it. It's a sign. I picked it up. It's like I paid like $1.25 for it. I'm thinking it probably went up from there. But if you go to Walmart or someplace like that, you can pick up. It's like a large sheet of plastic of styrene. I've used it plenty of times for when I needed something larger than what you can get from Evergreen. But what's also really good was like I said, it was cheap. Okay, so that looks like an X-ray. It kind of does a little bit, doesn't it? So we were experimenting with a few different techniques. There's a guy on. So what I did was I did a little Google search for how to airbrush clouds, like a dark, cloudy sky. And there's a guy I follow for a while, and he must have done a video a couple years before I started following him. It's a guy I think he's Australian, guy by the name of Airbrush Asylum, and he kind of walked through it. Yeah, it's a for sale sign, Peter. It's like $1.80, and you get this fairly good size. It's styrene. Now they have some I've made out of paper, but go find a styrene one. You use those signs too. Oh, that's good. Yeah. They're good. They're cheap. They're convenient, right? So I cut off a sheet. My daughter wanted to practice a few, just airbrushing some clouds the day before. My apologies, my friends. Try that AK Yellow Sand. I'm sticking with them from now on. AK Yellow Sand, what? Pencil, water-based acrylics. Oils? Oh, do they do oils? Yeah, they do. Ooh, can't recall. Abtai-Lung. That's an AK product, if I'm correct. So anyway, so he had he did an airbrush session on how to airbrush clouds. And the way he was doing, he was just like, oh, you just kind of, I mean, don't get me wrong. The guy's a professional, uses two hands because he's primarily airbrushing either onto shirts or some kind of a canvas. But he's sitting there and airbrushing. You know, the first thing that you learn, never stop letting what they call it flow, airflow. Always have your air flowing. I use the cans. Okay, yep. Acrylic cans. Got it. Nice. Polystyrene. Yep. So yeah, that's all it is. It's standard polystyrene. Anyway, so started just experimenting a little bit with it, and after watching his video, and we kind of came up with that. And there are a few different things. There's only 2 colors here. So the background was painted black, and then we used a dark gray, which is what a lot of like that was, and some of like this stuff here. Okay, and then I used like a custom mix of 2 other colors to come up with this lighter. Now again, don't worry about the shapes and everything like that. But what's kind of cool was he also showed what was called a paper towel method. So I'm going to see if I can get this thing up close. See how you create these really sharp delineations to kind of give it like a realistic cloudy effect? It's paper towel. You just rip a piece of paper towel. I have it here still. Did I toss it? No, I tossed it. You rip a piece of paper towel and almost use it like a mask, and then just very faintly brush over a line. So what you have is you've got the light and fluffiness of some of it. Now, we didn't do it as light and fluffy as we probably should have. My daughter did better. I started it and I probably whacked it a little bit. Like a lot of this stuff down at the bottom was my shit. And using mixed ammo paint that acrylic but sprays like a lacquer. Nice. I like that you can buy sets. Yeah, the street artists in the city do that. I got to tell you, it's techniques that that you pick up. But later today, we are going to be applying this to this. So I'm getting pretty excited about that happening. The unfortunate thing is I was hoping to have it ready and presented on Friday. It'll be ready and presentable for next Friday. I won't be able to make the meeting. So another month, July meeting. But anyway, had fun doing that. I think I mentioned this a couple days ago. It's like I'm excited with new techniques, learning new techniques, and to see, like, I didn't know how to do this. And I'm not saying that this is executed well. My daughter did better than I did. We kind of collaborated. I gave her the airbrush, she gave it back. We went back and forth. I started it, and when she got involved, it did much better. That and magazine pages. Yeah, magazine pages would do the same thing. Yeah, I just think that paper towel tends to, at least for this scale kind of stuff, it seems to automatically create some of those ridges. Whereas if I were tearing a magazine, I'd probably have to cut it a little bit more. But yeah, either way, Richie, you're right. You know, it's amazing what you can use for these different effects. You'll be missed. Nah. I think I would imagine that the old guard will be very happy not having, because we probably won't have to introduce ourselves to any new members. Those guys. You know, introductions just take so long. Go by yourselves. Anyway, my own cross to bear. I don't have a decent laundry shop near me. Yeah. Just want to make sure. Yeah, there we go. Just want to make sure I'm caught up on all of it. Anyway, so I love learning new techniques. I think it's, if you do, it's like, we talk about John Bias an awful lot, right? John Bias goes out there and he did 250 plants, and primarily he did a lot of Spitfires. It's like, I got to tell you, if I did something like after like 50 Spitfires, I'd probably want to just like quit this hobby. It's the same thing with like, I can only build so many Gundams before it's like, I got to do something else, right? And Georgia, plastic crack addict. Yes, I really should be practicing airbrushing outside of a model making context. I think it's, in fact, Peter, you bring up a really interesting point. I've been getting bored with, I think, step back. I agree with you 100%. Airbrushing for models, right, is more about getting some kind of, and this was a can, but it's the same thing. It's to create uniformity in color, right? A uniform black, a uniform dark red, a uniform light red, whatever, right? That's what you do when a uniform black, a uniform dark red, a uniform light red, whatever, right? That's what you do when you airbrush, mostly for scale models with some type of, maybe like I remember James down in Australia when he did when he no Zaku boy. He's since changed. I think I'm Being Creative, I think, is his handle now. But he then also, I remember watching like his absolutely fucking fabulous Goof Flight type city ski scene, which he competed at Australia's GBWC. It must be 5-6 years ago. I'll read your comments in a second, guys. Sorry, I'm going to let some of this stuff float, but I'll come back to it. But I watched him live stream, like him doing, this is before I got into lacquer painting. And it's what convinced me I should probably look at this. He was doing modulation of colors. And just, he masked off an area that was painted and then modulated a color. And I kind of did a little of that on the base where I left a little bit of the bottom undone. And I'm watching that. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a pretty cool technique. So you start learning all these new techniques. That to me is what makes this hobby so special. But airbrushing historically has been about you kind of like want to get even paint on a surface. It's when you start going beyond that, and to your point, Peter, and I fully agree, I'm more excited about painting this background and coming up with some unique ways of doing things. And even if you take a look down here, look, I'm just kind of pulling out this bottom section and just, trying different pressures and how close the airbrush is to how far the airbrush is, trying all of these new techniques to learn what you can affect with it. That to me is what makes modeling so much fun. Getting outside of that one, oh, this is the way you do it kind of mentality. All right, let's see if I can pick up some of this stuff. I really should be practicing airbrushing outside as well. Yep, I don't need to introduce myself. My name rings bells when I enter. Nice. Richie, I doubt people laugh. We should just make new members watch the orientation videotape. Yeah. And maybe just not even engage with them. They can go sit off on their own all by themselves, and not engage with them at all. Gee, why aren't they coming back? When I have a crap model, a rattled can, and a great primer, it becomes a paint mule, but you know that. Yeah. In fact, I'm starting to reconsider this plane and maybe it becoming, I don't know. I keep looking at this thing. It's like every day my opinion on what I want to do to it changes. Anyway, techniques, trying new techniques. I love it. And actually, and I will say, it was really fascinating sitting down here And I started getting everything ready because I was going to start the painting process. And my daughter comes downstairs after she wrapped up something, and she's like, all right. So she sat next to me, and she's like, well, what if we kind of did it this way? Can I try it? I'm like, of course. I hand her over the airbrush, and then we literally were going back and forth. So she would do some painting, I would do some painting, and it was the collaboration. This is like the level of collaboration I was not planning for. I was planning for, I did everything here, you do the clouds, and instead we both sat down here and collaborated at the same time on getting that thing painted at the same time. And that was really cool. That was supremely fun. So anyway, old runner done. Oh my God. This actually, I was wrong about this model. Oh no shit. Interesting. There is no label on what the model is, but the back side of it. Let's see if it comes into focus. There it is. See how close I can get with this. So there it is. Bandai 1980. Wow. Wow. Airbrush. I'd like to get better at post-shading and modeling. Yeah. Modeling I want to continue to experiment with. And in fact, modeling in some ways is not a difficult thing. It's just, I think what happens, what I find with a lot of painting techniques, it's like, I don't have the same issue with construction because I don't know that you can go too far. But with painting, I like, well, it doesn't seem like it's gone far enough. So go a little bit further and a little bit further, and you know, it's like it's gone too far. Like modeling is actually kind of easy to do in terms of like laying down like a base color and then putting something on top of it. It's just that I started it that way, and then it's like, and it becomes too uniform. It becomes too uniform. Toss that runner. Whereas modulation, I've done a little bit of modulation. Just never really had much need for it, but it's fun. What I'd like to do at some point, Peter, and this is maybe aimed more towards the locals, is maybe kind of like what Edwin was just talking about. One of our guys, you know, Tom Warchel. Tom's painting skills are really good, and he has done modulation and other kind of things. I might actually see if I can get him to do an airbrush session to kind of like his technique. I think that would be good. Did you hear about the gay porno star beating the shit out of a large group of Nazis? If not, now you did. Gay porno star. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm not a big fan of violence, but I appreciate that they were put down. Anyway. All right, let's get this backpack cleaned up, and then we're going to see if how it actually fits on here. Hello. Oh, sorry, itchy back. There we go. But yeah, I like learning new techniques. Oh, by the way, Nick, sanding. You know, now you can tune out because I've done sanding. I will show the inside of this thing because again, I really do think that a lot of the molds that were created, just to think that these were all done by hand. Always fascinated by that. Might have to get the hoses on here. Get this all of it glued in and just paint the hoses separately afterward. Yeah, it'd be cool if Tom did a demo. Yeah. Modulation can quickly look a bit too stylized, cartoonish if you go too far, but sometimes that's what you want. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem as long as that is the look that you're going for. You know, and that's part of it. And this is why, Peter, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at the article I just published, the from the president, which once again, are we building to realism or accuracy? Is that important in scale modeling today? I would argue it is important, but never should be used as a detractor to why a model succeeds or not. It'd be cool if Tom did a demo. I'll certainly broach the issue with him. I'm programming my AC today. It's going to be 87 Thursday, and I'm not looking forward to it. Oh, I am. I'm looking forward to more consistently warmer weather. Okay. There we go. Love it. 87 sounds good. All right, let's see what it looks like on the back here. Ooh, hello. Those are tight. I did read it. Well, I hope I'd love to hear people's thoughts on it. I mean, I've gotten some feedback already, but primarily from Pip, who obviously had to read it because he was putting it in the newsletter. Right, let's see, where is that the round one? Okay, let's try that. Just cleared things out a little bit. After I get this thing test fitted, I'll show you what the inside of it looks like because it is kind of fascinating. All right. That is so wild. It actually follows the back pretty closely. There it goes. It's snapped in now. It follows the back pretty closely, but there's still, see that gap back there? Right at the bottom in particular. I mean, I got to tell you, aesthetically, I really like the way that looks. That's so cool. The guy who puts legs on tanks, I think everyone knows where I stand on accuracy. Yeah. But what about things like color or weathering? Part of the, and I'm sure this will come up at some later point. You know, I'll use the examples that didn't come up in this thing about accuracy, which was Tim Harkins was dinged at, I believe it was ODO a number of years ago for his Just a Drop. I think that's what it's called. No, airdrop. And it's a Justa it's a master grade model that's coming down with he vacuum formed parachutes, and it's coming down. And the comments from the judges were, a robot parachuting down doesn't make sense. It's like, that's the reason that that model was not considered for best of show. Huh. Or I was talking to Mike Wine, and he said that he was at a show where somebody said, no, something like that would require more weathering. It's like, that's getting to the point of subjectivity. When the Friday Zoom call devolves into a 20-minute discussion on the color of a specific plane at a very specific time, my eyes glaze over. Yeah, I hear you on that. It's not just the Zoom meetings, it's the in-person meetings too. Yeah. Color accuracy is, well, 8K's RLM04 is much more accurate than M. And the reason is that the color, it's like, oh, I don't want to hear this. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. And it's funny, last night, what was it? Oh my God, my wife and I were having this conversation. I forget what the subject was that we were talking about. Oh, it was the my daughter brought a boutonniere for her date to prom, right? And she was asking what shade of pink it was. And it's like, I don't know, honey. Come on, you know me. It's a color. It's like I don't do colors. It's funny. By the way, the boutonniere and the couple look great. That's all that mattered. All right. Okay. Yeah, color accuracy, any kind of accuracy. Well, Anyway, quiet morning. Everybody, again, is just being so fucking quiet. What's wrong with y'all? All right, this is number 8. Let's see. Excuse me. A lot of flash on this one. As an overthinker, if it works, it ain't stupid. Sometimes people just overcomplicated things. Yeah. And I think it's important if color accuracy is important to you, I think that's great. But I think it's also important that kind of like what's the old line now? It's like kind of read the room. I generally try not to go to that kind of degree when I do presentations on my models, is because it's like, I don't think this is what people want. I think they want to know what worked, what didn't, how I put down a technique, rather than I searched out the Himalayas to try to find the most accurate color of this thing. I don't give a shit. Did you see Brian's plane with the really stylized, sculpted cloud smoke with skulls? So cool and innovative, but judges didn't get it. Brian's plane. Which plane is that? And which Brian are we talking about? I'm assuming it's Brian Denklo, but I could be wrong. Regarding giant robot does not do airdrop, I present to you the AV-99 Helldiver that does airdrop. But again, it might, but they might still look at it, but it's a robot with parachutes, and it's falling. It's like, oh God. You know what the fuck I'm doing today. What the fuck are you doing today, Richie? Eesh. Nasty move lines. Eesh. This is going to take some effort. Yeah, it's just It's another one of those. Brian Denklaw, Messerschmitt, maybe. Yeah, okay. Brian Denklaw, yeah. Bro Builder. Yeah. Brian's work is exemplary. I will say, I have preferred. I think first, his construction is great. I've seen a bunch of his models in person. He competed at MosquitoCon with a demonic winged, I think it was a Zaku, which I wasn't nearly as enamored of, but the level of work that he put in there, particularly with making the feathers, the paint work he did on his Porsche, Brian's work is fabulous. As a reasonable commander, I do not want to use the fuel just to safely land a giant robot. Yeah. Well, yeah. To which I love, this is something, as a hardcore sci-fi guy, like I love sci-fi, right? I love that Zaku. Which Zaku are we talking about, Richie? Are you talking about Brian's winged Zaku? Yeah. I remember the flea when we were at New York. What's it? Anime NYC, boy, 2019. Again, Brian is a professional. In many ways, he really is a professional. I think the criteria that people use for what he does, I think they kind of scratch their heads a little bit, right? Yeah, Brian's, yeah. I thought it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't as moved by that model. Always by his execution. I'm always moved by Brian's execution because Brian is a like I said, he's world class. He's fabulous. But go. But that car model. See, I'd love to be able to talk to the judges and ask them what is it about. And again, I'm not. This is as an ignoramus. When I saw Brian's Porsche next to what appeared to be some 60s car, or looking at a bunch of the other cars, what was it about Brian's car or another car that put it over Brian's, or what was it that Brian's car missed? Because in terms of like just standing out on a table, that one certainly did. Now, do I think, to the point of what I was just trying to say, was the construction as good as somebody else's? I can't answer that. Did he put as much effort into his versus somebody else? Can't answer that. Yeah, it was a Seed model. We know, George. We know. Seed. Do they have Zaku's in Seed? Like, I've never seen Seed. Well, I guess, yeah. Isn't that where the Phantom Zaku came from? The Phantom Warrior Zaku, whatever the fuck they call it. Yeah, I guess I have seen it since I built one. The green Porsche. Yeah, the green Porsche. The green Porsche, and I think that's like Brian would be another one of those guys. We're talking about modulation. Brian would be one of those guys who it's like, Brian, how did you do this? Like, show us. I mean, he described it to me. And the level of modulation work he did to get the shadowing on that thing was unreal. Yeah. Yeah. I have to hold myself when watching the Gundam Seed. Now I need to watch the Gundam Seed Destiny. Yeah. I'm going to wait on all of that for Tom and Nina. I got to tell you, there's going to become a time where I think my Gundam watching is going to become a little bit challenged when Tom and Nina start getting into Seed and Double O and Wing. I have very little interest in any of that stuff. I will say, okay, so Richie, you ready for this? So I'm about wrapped up with, actually, I take it back. Tom and Nina just finished Victory Gundam. And I am, I think, episode 48, 49. I haven't watched it in the last couple. The last, I'd say, like 8-10 episodes. It's like, all right, just get through this thing. Let's just get through this thing. Everything. Sorry, Chris, you missed so much. So much. You're missing nothing. Yeah. I liked a lot of the beginning, and there were a bunch of episodes that were good. I just think that overall, it's like, you ain't missing nothing. The designs, I like the, I do like the what they call it. I like the original, the V1, the Victory Gundam. I thought that was really cool. I just think there are, okay, so we're going to get into this a little bit. I know that with storytelling, right, you have multiple writers, but in some way, shape, or form, you still have to have a centralized plan to move the entirety of a story forward, right? So if you get a 50-episode series, you still have sort of like the head script writer, making sure that the plot of the show is kind of moving in a forward direction, and the characters kind of stay within character, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like with a lot of the Gundam stuff, it's particularly as the series start getting towards the end, it's like eyes are off the ball, and there's just a lot of the inaccuracies in the storytelling. How did that happen with that character? Just, and I know it's a kid's cartoon, and I get it that they probably are putting in that high level of a story, a creative team, but still, and by creative team I mean to follow the creative process. If you're not going to make Friday, I'll wait to bring the door back. Oh yeah, please. Yeah, I would love if you would. That'd be lovely. Thank you, Peter. I never been able to get into the Gundam anime, but I think that's because I was raised on animation like Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, and Coyote, and Tom and Jerry anime. Yeah, but it's funny. So was I. But I also was raised on Speed Racer when it first came out. I'm talking about Seed and Seed Destiny. I think Victory Gundam is ugly. You think? Oh, the Victory Gundam. I like the Victory Gundam. I like it actually as a robot. I do like it. I like some of the conceptually some of the other stuff that they did, but overall, I don't know. I'm just gonna go out on them and say Zaku's a Zaku. I love Zaku's. That whole classic stuff. Speed Racer was crude to me too. Yeah. It was okay. So I also grew up, Chris. Japanese animation is interesting. No, Japanese animation at the time. So I'll toss this out. Go watch Speed Racer at the same time that you go watch like the Herculoids, which is the Hanna-Barbera shit that was being, dumped down our throats at the time. Or go watch the Super Friends versus Battleship Yamato, or what they call it, or Gatchaman, all of which were released here in the US. And this is why I keep saying, or look at the late 70s when you had Captain Harlock and that stuff versus the garbage that was being pumped out here in the US, not even close. So I agree with you that American animation of the 40s, 50s, 30s, that time, sure, all that stuff was great. Pink Panther in the 60s, very Art Deco-y, or not Art Deco-y, very sort of that 60s style that it had, all good stuff. 70s stuff was produced on the cheap, but later anime is pretty technically amazing. I would actually say Do a side by side. You put Space Battleship Yamato, which came out in 1974, 51 years ago, very old series, or Gatchaman, and you put it up against what was being produced here in the United States at the time. This is why I gravitated towards it. It's like, wow, this stuff looks so good. Now, is it crude by today's standards? Of course it is. I'm going to do video on Mazin Kaiser and the other robots. Yeah, and I never watched much of that kind of stuff. But yeah, you take a look at that and do a comparison. Hanna-Barbera's stuff was super reliant on sound effects and music. Almost nothing is happening on the screen. Yeah, but remember, this is the thing that kind of bothered me by a lot of this stuff. Not only were the stories crap, but it's a visual medium. I mean, it's a cartoon. It's not like it's not live action, right? You know, even in the 80s, you know, suddenly, and I'll toss this out. Then you start seeing what Gundam did, but more importantly, what Macross did. And holy crap, when Macross came out or Robotech came out, without a doubt, like it's like there was nothing being produced here in this country that was close to that. Not even close. Not in terms of like televised animation. And the level of stuff that you see there is fabulous. In fact, and I'll toss this out. How many people here have seen the Macross movie, Love Do You Remember? 1984. And if you haven't, seek it out. The opening 20 minutes of that film, just the opening 20 minutes, all hand drawn, you know, the Macross coming through, the SDF-1 coming through me. Thank you, Edwin. I appreciate that somebody has taste here. But if you watching the SDF-1 coming through the rings of Saturn and the light and how the light came across the entirety of the ship, it's on my list. Take it off your list and go watch it now. I'm serious, Richie. It is a phenomenal film. And then looking at the scenes after that where they're launching the Valkyries, it's like this was hand drawn. Can't recommend it enough. Yeah, I recently had the pleasure of watching the 4K version of that, and it was stellar. The 80s, 90s hand-drawn anime is the best. It's peak civilization. I would probably say, yeah. No, I'm Lazy George. Oh, come on, Richie. You watch anime all the time, don't you? Maybe I'm wrong, but I think you watch anime quite a bit. Put this one on the top of your list. And I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Anyway, but all that stuff in the 80s, you know, go back and watch. And I agree with 100% with Edwin. Go take a look and see what was done with Votoms. Go take a look to see what was done with Dunbine. Okay? Take a look to see what was done with Orgus. You know, and then the whole OVA market that exploded, where they then took, you know, they were given a lot more freedom to do a lot more interesting stuff. Wow. Yeah, story of my life. I hear you, Richie. It's amazing stuff, you know. As much as I do, and I love seeing the stuff. I love the origin movies. I think they're great, but I would rather still watch a hand-drawn animation. There's something about it, you know. And I love that opening scene to the first Origin movie, with Char going, the Battle of Loam. I think that's great. But I subscribed to High Dive anime app, and man, so many. Oh yeah, it's way too much to watch. Yeah, Richie, and I get that, and I hear this all the time. Hey, have you watched this? No. In fact, it's like I'm very particular about the type of stuff that I do watch, just because it's just time. To your point, Richie, and Richie, I get it. I do think that if it is on your list, if the Macross movie is on your list, I would probably move it up a little bit on that list, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Yeah, never heard of. Yeah, there's so much stuff out there. I've got a subscription to Crunchyroll that was gifted to me, and it's fabulous. It's fabulous. Anyway. There's a lot of stuff out there. But I'm also at an age now where there's stuff I just don't want to watch. Like, no offense, I really don't need to watch teenage romances. Sorry. If as a 60-year-old guy, if I have to watch that, yeah, something ain't right. Magical shit, yeah, it doesn't really do it for me too much. The only kind of rom-com that I really like, and it is one of my favorites. I love Yatsura, Maison Ikoku. That's the one that I've always enjoyed. In fact, I got to finish that series now that my server's back up. I got to get to watching that. Watching them is to do a spreadsheet on it. Oh, Edwin. Yeah, but then it becomes so. It almost becomes mechanical. Yeah, I think you're right that at some point you have to say, did I watch this or not, and create a list of all of it. But I don't know. Not like for me, it's just like my server is kind of like what I want to watch, what's on my server. I watched 70% of Crunchyroll. Wow, Jesus, Richie. And you haven't watched do you remember? Oh my God, Richie. Robert, we talking about old anime? Yeah, man. We're talking about anime in general, but old anime, because Legend of the Galactic. I know. The original Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Oh my God. That's one you have to add on your list. That's probably my favorite. I put it in my top 3 of all time. By a glance now, you know what to watch. I am doing it this month. Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Whatever works for you, right? If a list works for you like that, go for it. Okay, let's scrapey a little bit here. What's going on, Robert? By the way, Robert, I meant to reach out, and I, of course, didn't. A couple weeks back, you and I were discussing rules. Oh shit, what was the topic that you reached out about? Having documentation. We actually talked about it. I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to watch that episode. Even the remake is solid, but LOGH is easily top 3. Spice and Wolf as well. Dub, no arguments on that. Performance are the best. I don't even sure if I've even heard of I'm Becoming Conscious. Nice. Why do you want to do that? Stay in a semi-conscious realm. It's much, much easier. You'll get through these times a lot more quickly. I've never heard of Spice and Wolf. I think you might have mentioned it once before. Spice. I mean, I want to watch, like I said, I want to catch up with a lot of the 80s stuff. The City Hunters. Man, I had 3 hours of sleep yesterday. It did not help. Oh. I had 3 hours of sleep yesterday. Yeah. City Hunters, Space Adventure Cobra. I will say one of the series that kind of got me back into anime back in the day, and it was purely, and Peter was talking about music. Holy crap. the Giant Robo series with the Polish Philharmonic. Wow, that soundtrack to the opening sequences, absolutely spectacular. Set in a Santa Center where a traveling merchant begins traveling with a wolf goddess in the form of a young girl. Got it. City Hunter. I want to watch. Yeah, the original City Hunter from the 80s or what? Lupin the Third. There's another one. Lupin the Third. Oh my God. Has anybody watched like the very first series that came out in like the early 70s? And you want to talk about like quality animation that was not being produced here? Woo! Loved it. Love Lupin the Third. So I want to watch. I had to buy more epoxy putty. Stuff I have is old and didn't cure. It never cured. And I had to scrape it. Really? That I've never heard. It's that old and it never cured. What? Can I ask what brand you had, Peter? It has the best romantic character banter I've ever seen, and the actors nail it. The original. Yeah. City Hunter is definitely on the list. Now, keeping in mind, it's also 80s kind of sexist stuff. So always watch that stuff with maybe a very heavy dose of salt. But the animation quality, Ryo Saiba and all that, oh my God. Yeah, that stuff is great. Here's another one, Dirty Pair. This is the point I guess I'm getting at is, and Edwin, I think, reinforced it perfectly. That time frame of hand-drawn animation, particularly as you got into the late 80s when OVAs became the thing, before we got into digital, golden era. Golden era. Okay, I got to eliminate a injection pin mark, which likely will not be seen, but I'll know it's there. I've watched Angel Cop too. If I watched Angel Cop, I'm not sure that I did. Alice Epoxy. Oh, Epoxy Part B has separated with this weird oily film. Oh, yeah. Dude, I've had that happen. I've never had a problem with the stuff coming together. Peter, recommendation for you want to try something? Try the Tamiya Quick Type 2-part epoxy. I'd like to get your take on it. I've used that. I've used Milliput. They're all good. I'm not a snob about it. I think that the epoxy Quick Type by Tamiya, I've seen so little anime. That's cool. There's so much to watch. It just depends on whether you're interested or not. Generally speaking, there's probably a subject in there that that you might find that you're interested in. But again, it depends on how important it is to you. The right to abuse the rights of the people lies with the people. Yang Wenli. Yeah, I gotta tell you. That's one of the best. Love Yang Wenli. Yeah, one of my favorite anime characters of all time. His whole laissez-faire attitude is just fabulous, and it works perfectly in that environment. Anyway, Peter, yeah, I'd recommend giving that a try. One of the things that I noticed between that and the epoxy sculpt, they both do a great job. There's something about when you actually get to I think it's a harder, to me is a harder epoxy. But once you get to the point of like polishing it, that stuff is like glass smooth. Now, yeah, that's my experience. I've used both. I'm not a snob about epoxy, but I found it to be it was one of the things that stood out when I was using it. But yeah, if you have an opportunity, I'd love to. And I know you do a lot more sculpting than I do. I'd love to hear your take on all of this. Akira, Ghost in the Shell. Yeah. And those are important. I mean, think about it. Akira, landmark. And I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of it. Okay, first of all, has anybody not watched a Ghibli film? You know, has anybody not? You know, Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service. You know, even my favorite is Laputa. Nausicaä was the first Ghibli film. Then you get into the 90s stuff, but you know, just looking at that stuff from the 80s. Even Grave of the Fireflies, which I want to rewatch, but it's like I got to be in the mood for that one. Kiki's Delivery Service and Whisper of the Heart are my favorites so far. Really, yeah, Kiki's like one of those that you can watch, just sit down and watch anytime. It is absolutely one of the sweetest animes out there. It's also the thing I think that makes a lot of that stuff so good is that it's designed for all ages, but without pandering to kids, right? Now, Grave of the Fireflies, probably not for kids. I would not watch that with my children. At least not when they were like kitty size. All right, let's see if I can eliminate this little injection pin mark. I think I've got, I got a seam line there. Sorry, guys. Find the Studio Jib stuff beautiful, but kind of boring. Sorry. No, that's fine. I think the pacing is intentional. It is a slow pace stuff. And that's one of the things I appreciate by it. But I would recommend if you want something a little faster paced, watch Castle in the Sky Laputa. Oh no, newer anime, but as good as Ghibli, Your Name. Yeah, I know. I got to watch some Shinkai stuff. I've watched maybe one thing, but not enough to really do it. So Suzanne was another great anime film, but Your Name was just a wonderful emotional roller coaster in the best way. Yeah. And that's in my collection somewhere. I've got to dig it up and watch it. Now that now that my server's coming back online. Let's see if I can dig it up. I know I have it there. Watch some Shinkai. Okay. That's great. Of course, now that we're talking about old anime, I've got the Aura Battler Dunbine theme song running in my head. I actually started playing that a couple days ago, and even my older daughter who'd watched that with me, and she loves Dunbine. She's like, as soon as like the opening sounds from the soundtrack started, she's like, I know what this is, and she just kind of sat there fixed. It's great. How's Patlabor? Patlabor's fun. I've seen the first couple series, I think, and I've enjoyed it. I've not watched enough of it to say that as an entirety, it's great. But yeah, Patlabor is definitely one to watch, especially like the robots in that. But it's also, at least originally, I think it was treated more as a comedy. And in some ways, like really interestingly, and again, I don't know enough about Japanese Japanese politics, but I'm guessing there was probably some of that going on. But it's extremely well animated, and that is also one of those where the where the power of anime really came through in the 80s, where you now, like, there's so much stuff we can do that we don't have to have a theatrical release, and putting it on television means we have to dumb down some of the quality. So because of the explosion of the VHS rental market, the LD rental market at the time, the OVA thing allowed for so much creativity. Now, Giant Fighting Robot anime. It was a slice of life of the special vehicle division. Yeah, it just happened to have robots in it. Correct. Making remakes of old animes lately. Some do not hold up the originals. Either match or even rarely superior. Which ones are superior? Like, I don't. Like I said, it's from my perspective. I don't know that you can. I don't know. Like Legend of the Galactic Heroes. The new series is good. The original is much, much better. Also keeping in mind that it is based on a novel, on a Japanese book series. I think I'm only going to get through one host today. And here I thought I was going to get this thing done in a couple days. Yeah, I guess not. A couple more days, I should say. I guess not. That's okay. Let's see. It's superior to the original. They got the same dub cast and remake is closer to the novel, so you have more experienced actors who have played the parts. Oh, interesting. Okay, so as a talent, the talent themselves are better because they're more mature. Interesting. That's an interesting perspective. All right. We're almost there. Let's turn this thing more into a hose. All right. Time is it? Another 5 minutes, and I'm gonna call it a session so I can go upstairs, and my wife's in town, so hang out with her. I'm gonna run. Have a great day, everyone. Peter, you too, brother. Thanks for popping in this morning. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and hopefully the week starts smoothly for you. I would say is one that is on par. Benefits are that it has a dub, and the casting for Yang was perfect, and it is. That said, the music in the original, the music was much better. I also like. I never listen to dubs. I usually listen to original Japanese with subtitles. But I have listened to a little of that. But in terms of just the overarching story, yeah, the new one doesn't hold a candle to the old one. I think some of the embellishments in the OVA, I think, just added to the story over the novels. Yeah, Ranma Half is, I would say, equal to the original, potentially better in some ways. I've not watched the new Ranma 1/2. Kenshin is inferior. The pacing in Ranma Dungeon Sword fights are just not as good. LG remake dub is worth a watch. I have actually watched a couple of episodes with dubbing just because I've been like working on a model. Generally, I try not to do that. I'm not a big, just generally speaking, my opinion on dubbing, is it's always inferior. It always sounds like it just never sounds good. I don't know what it is about English voices, American voices. They sound forced. Generally, not always, just generally. Okay, we are done with this, I think. Now we're going to scribe in. Oh shit! There's a massive injection. I missed the third one. I thought I got it, but I guess I didn't. Third injection pin mark. There's two dubs, I will say. They're not better than the Japanese. Cowboy Bebop. You think the Cowboy Bebop, the original Cowboy Bebop, is better English than Japanese? Oh, that's saying something, because I love the original Japanese version of that. Wow, I totally missed this one. Anyway. Sorry, guys, give me a second. This one's a nut buster. There we go. Good enough. I like Japanese have a word for diarrhea of the mouth. The explanation of it, but English cut the scene from the dubbed. Really? There's a rumor the creator of Cowboy Bebop prefers the English dub, but I've never seen a direct quote in Bleach. Oh, really? In Bleach? Yeah. Never watched Bleach. All right, let's get a razor saw out here. A couple different things. 1, 2. In fact, we're going to start putting some of the tools away. These I will not need. This I will not need. Put that away. Put the file away. All right. All right, let's start carving in some hoses, shall we? Hose lines. It's as bad as Wing if you watch a dub and have the pause button ready for sub. Oof. Doesn't sound good. Sorry, guys. Just trying to get this thing tackled. It's like because of all the cleanup, half the lines have been, or like obviously quite a few of the lines have been reduced in size. So I'm trying to add them back in. This is going to take some time. I'm likely not going to get this done this morning, though. These lines are in some ways, pretty messed up. one line done. Let's try it this way. Wow. Significantly reduce this one. Anything can be fixed, though, right? It's plastic. Anything can be fixed. I'm going to have to take a break from this, though. Jordan coming, I'm totally missing today's stream. I should be here tomorrow. Same. Later, Chris. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Ever tried to recreate the work of a pro model as an artist study? It's a very interesting. I have not. I think a lot of it is because I want to do my own creative stuff. Do I replicate some techniques? Of course. But never try to reproduce what they've done. It's a fascinating concept, though. Trying to learn scribing, but I keep running into walls. So I decided to try to replicate Naoki's. Yeah, okay. I've heard people do that. Try to replicate that from other people to see what that does. Made some mistakes and made some changes, but overall it's coming along and it's an interesting way to learn. Yes. And then again, does that sink in? Meaning, does that now, like you've learned that method, is it working in a way that you can replicate? I think we're going to stop after this one. Yeah, take a break. Okay. There we go. I think we're going to take a break. I might hit it within cement just to see what it looks like. And then tomorrow, continue on. Something off my brain. I can focus. Yeah, on the side learning. That's the hard part. The actual physical doing scribing, it's got its challenges. But for me, the hardest part has always been how to come up with design. Always, always, always. Clean out there. Get rid of that. There we go. All right, not bad. All right, we'll leave that there. We'll get back to this tomorrow. So in the meantime, yeah, it's the styling. That's design has always been the hardest thing for me to learn with scribing. Always. Always, always, always. Always impressed when people can get that. I can't get that. All right, friends, time for me to roll. Yeah, perfect timing. All right, guys, go do good out there. thank you for being on this morning. I really do enjoy it, but go out there and do good. Brighten the world as much as you possibly can. Have a good one. You too, Robert. Enjoy the day. Crazy world. It is messed up to no end. Do what you can to make it better than what it is, because this is just not sustainable. This is bad. So go out there, show love, show peace to other people. Do right by people. Just like I said, just make their lives better, not miserable. All right. I'll be back on tomorrow, same time, same channel. Enjoy the day. Love you all. Do good. Stay safe and sane. And I'll catch you on the flip. Peace.